This looks pretty good. We're going to kind of look into customer center, vendors. Let's do the same thing. Let's get those in there. Let's get those in there so that they're get something populated. So one of the things that we're going to want to do from the vendor information and the customer, we're going to want to export some IF files to capture both of these lists. But before we do that, we should get a sample information in the right fields. So one of the things we're going to do is we'll put vendor, company name, vendor, and we're going to go down into the address. Notice we'll start with 10 Main Street. We'll use Old Town, Maine 04468, and this gives us information for our vendor. That's pretty good. We're going to go over to the customer side, and let's get one of these things set up. For simplicity, we'll do one at a time so we can get them imported separately. I think it'll be a little bit easier than trying to combine the lists, even though the tags are quite similar. And let's put in the name first, last, and we'll put in down here. We won't put in that information. I probably won't put in the first and last name, but maybe I will. Specifically, we'll assume that these customers are residential. Again, we'll put in Old Town. We'll put in 5 Main Street, 04468. That looks good. Good. So what we're going to do is to get the right information on the tags, we're going to export lists. We're going to go into vendor, and we're going to put in vendor, this information, and we're going to go back into Excel. That's fine. We're going to just grab, kind of shorten it. The advantage of doing things the way that you see here is you already got a sample vendor in there so that when you copy, we'll say an Excel list. Let's grab this information that you see here and move it over. Vendor, vendor, vendor. Because then you also have the print as, and that's always helpful to have. Let's grab this, go back to the top, pull it over. This is going to be under the print as on the check, and this is going to be on the address, so that way we have the standard convention. So let's get this thing deleted. Go to Shift Up. So what we're going to do now that we know that it's company name is we're going to put that information back in to the IF file. Sorry about that. I looked up the tag. Make sure that's where it should be. And we're going to paste it. File save. I kind of show you some of these errors so that, if you have them, you know how to go about fixing them and getting the information proper. So now we're going to put in the IF file. We're going to get the information in for the vendor. It's going to load. I think I just did about 100 vendors. Going to get us started, where we need to be. And you can see now the company name, how that information is in there. You can certainly import a lot more information, phone numbers, and etc., things like that, which we might see later on here. We might go back in and edit and kind of fix some things, get some custom fields, and kind of show you some different accounting situations. But, the main thing right now is just to get the vendor information in and do the same thing on the customer side. So let's go back now to the customer side over here. And since we have that information set up, we go to Utilities, going to export lists, customer list. I'm going to just put it on the desktop, customer list, grab it, pull it up, being a little bit impatient, let it run, grab it open, over. So, just so that we have kind of some consistency. We'll put this down here on the bottom. Again, you really don't need this information on the custom names, but the biggest thing that's going to change it when we do the fill function is that it uses a C UST versus the other way. So let's just get first name and last name as we pull up the information. So, and let's use this kind of as a starting point so we kind of see where we need to be. Pull up our customer information over here. Let's start with Joe, and pull this information down over here. And let me move over here, and let's see. See if I get that relatively where it needs to be. Grab the first name, last name. Show you a couple of things with Excel. Let's grab this data, move this up for the customer. Let's see where we are and get that information pulled over. And now that we have that information, okay, at this point, one of the things you want to do is we're going to want to get the customer information over here. And one of the things is you want to look up by the last name, not necessarily the first name. So we're going to learn a few things with Excel functions. There's a fill function and a little paintbrush by taking the corner and bringing it all the way down so that we have this for the list. And we're going to go back up and we're going to grab Austin. I'm going to use a parenthesis and we're going to use comma, space, and use an and sign, or concatenate if you're familiar with it, and grab the cell Joe so that I guess I needed to put an and sign here in front of the first period. That way we can grab the customer, and I'm also going to equals AO. So this is just really getting things kind of set up for an accounting situation. It's just really something down dirty. I didn't really want to spend 8 hours completing. Import pretty swiftly, pretty easily. A lot of it is just getting the tag information right, and just getting the data. So it's not kind of the most fun work, but when you're working with databases, it helps being a little bit handy in Excel, kind of get things where they need to be. So let's get into the customer list, and let's get this thing saved. And I'm going to end up doing the same thing with the items. Without getting too much in depth, I did have to fix a last name here, get a couple of things kind of squared away, and we are ready to get this file imported into the system so that we have some information to work on as we do some of the videos. So let's get this information into the customer list, and here we are. Let's pull up QuickBooks and go to File, Import. I have to import this one a second time. I lost the last name, didn't quite work the way it should have been. So as you can see, this is going to go through its importing process and make the correction so that we have the last names. So here we are. So now we at least have some data input into the system. So that's looking good. And let's move now on to our items. Get those set up so that our company starts having a file. But now we got our vendors, we got our customers, we got our chart of accounts, and now let's get some items going. So let's start with our first thing. We get a nice sample item, something to go with. So if we're going to do different kinds of mowing, we're going to do big field mowing, and we're going to choose a sub item of, we'll say, I'm going to choose the account first, So we know exactly lawn mowing and landscaping. And let's make this lawn mowing and landscaping for a sub item. And it's going to pull up this screen. We're going to do another service. It's not going to be a sub item, and it's going to go into lawn mowing and landscaping. And this is where you can kind of set up a default price if you generally charge every customer the same price. But we're going to cover that in a little bit. One of the nice things about this button, I don't know if it gets talked about a lot, but this is going to be pretty critical when we deal with the cost accounting side of things. But let's turn this off for now and save it so we can keep things a little bit simple. And again, this is going to be big field mowing. There we go. And this is going to be under the account, landscaping, lawn mowing. So right here, oh gosh, it looks like I created a sub of a sub of a sub. Not really good, but at least this gives us something that we can kind of work with in our Excel file. So let's export this out and let's get what we need for a bunch of items. I really like working with Excel because it's kind of quicker and it's faster and it's a little bit cleaner in terms of getting everything updated. You can kind of see things more where they should be. So let's put in service items. Get this IF file going and start pulling this thing together. So to edit and grab this thing, get this information. Let's get this in Excel so we can get going on this. So let's first get this information here. We don't really need this information on custom. Let's pull this information out, put it down here, and start looking at what we have. So we can start seeing the information as it's put into the Excel. See what we really need for tags. Let's get this a little bit cleaned up. A lot of this information we're not going to use on the import side. Let's pull this over. No, taxable. That way we can just get kind of a nice list and kind of see where things are going. So we can use a bunch of service items. You could probably type them in probably faster. Only just to speed things along a little bit. I just kind of got this thing done in Excel a little bit quicker. This way we can get the services in to the QuickBooks company so we can start getting into some of the fun stuff in accounting. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's going to be first in a series, and it's probably the most boring video because, I just got to get a company created so I can start showing you some of the cool stuff that can be implemented. So let's go to Files, Utilities, Import, Service Items, and let's get it going. Beautiful. It was excellent. We got our accounts. Everything looks good. I guess there's an import from Excel, but not sure it's as easy. I think there's a add, edit multiple items. We can kind of go in, copy down. So it's probably just as easy to do it one way or the other, depending what your preference is. It's kind of a real introductory video. Just get a company set up, rather quickly, so that we can get into some of the fun stuff of various accounting situations and seeing how I might do things, maybe how you guys might do things, and see where we are. There's a lot of things that you can do with QuickBooks, and I think these videos are going to be a nice series to kind of showcase where we need to be. So thank you for your time, and have a good night.